What is normal in your country but weird in the rest of the world? In New Zealand it is normal to be barefoot in public, in the mall, the supermarket, fast food places etc. It's even normal for kids to go to primary school barefoot. It's recognized this is unusual and has become a point of national pride for some people. Don't get me wrong, it's not like everyone is doing this, but it's a noticeable minority and would be seen on a daily basis, even in winter. Kissing the cheeks as a way to salute between men. It's pretty common here, but when I've done it in America while visiting a friend of mine, some other people asked us if we were gay. They didn't came to our face saying, "Hey buddy, you're gay?" They simply misunderstood and told this friend of mine they didn't know he was not straight. It was nothing disrespectful. In Denmark, if you haven't gotten married before the age of 25, you'll get tied to a streetlight and get showered with cinnamon. It's common to see big orange spots on the ground around streetlights. It's a very old tradition and we don't actually expect people to get married before 25, but the tradition still goes on. Oh, Germany has that tradition for when you're 30, but only in the north. Guys have to sweep the stairs of the cathedral until a virgin comes and kisses them. In Switzerland, carrying your military rifle with you. You get the SIG 550 when being conscripted in the army and you take it home, in your own property. Now, there are two different cases. When you're going to or coming from the military base, you also have your whole gear with you and you're in uniform, so no one is suspicious. But, there's the two case. We have mandatory shooting here, obligatorisches aka CS-Dienst. So you go to the shooting range. Many young guys don't have a car, so it's legal to transport these guns just with the train etc. without wearing your uniform. There were actually some alerts to the police, made by tourists, which thought there was a criminal or active shooter on the way. The military did made a response to the press later and said, that was legal. That was the case of a radio moderator which had his gun with him as he was going to work in morning and to the shooting range on afternoon. He was ride his bicycle and had his rifle on him. Today, the soldiers don't carry ammo with them, but in my time, that was before 2007, we had the Tashkent munition emergency ammo, which was a sealed package with 50 by 5.56 mm NATO rounds. Maybe, this is not weird for US Redditors, but for many countries in the world with strict gun laws, like in Germany, a weapon have to be separated into parts, separated from ammo and always to be in a locked suitcase according to the law. We scream when we cut the birthday cake in Venezuela. It is expected to be a blood-curdling scream, and people laugh at you and ridicule you if it wasn't loud or scary enough. Also, our birthday song is like 2 minutes long. One of our closest friends is from Venezuela. Do you also run around your neighborhood with a suitcase on New Year's Eve to bring you good travels in the new year? Or is that a hyperlocal, possibly just her parents' custom? My family didn't do it, but I know hundreds of people that do. It's pretty common there. United States here, ads for prescription drugs always comes to mind when this gets asked. No reason Joe nobody sitting on his couch watching a commercial with some dude playing with his dogs and climbing a mountain should be telling his doctor what to prescribe, whether for herpes or MS. The one that boggles my mind are the ads for chemo drugs. This has been shown to show improved results with patients with small cell carcinoma during a football game, or the like. This is not an exaggeration. I can't imagine going to one's oncologist and saying I saw this ad for chemox last night during the ball game. I'm taking that instead. Keep talking on the table after finishing a meal. I live in Mexico, and talked to a Japanese guy who told me that in Japan after finishing a meal they just stand up, while here in other Hispanic countries is common to keep talking. We call it sobremesa. Also here is more offensive to say no when you are invited to hang out and you don't want to do so. then saying that you will try and just don't show. Not my country, but in Spain, people celebrating a special moment or personal accomplishments, like their birthdays, bring something for the rest of the group to share instead of the other way around. I saw kids bring candy for the rest of their class on their birthday. My Spanish coworker brought in a cake because their wife gave birth. I thought it was cute and a kind way to say, "I hope you have a sweet moment on my special day." Edit. I'm learning that some Americans experience this in the US, which surprises me because I've never experienced it and I'm American. Well, Mexican lol. Maybe it's a regional thing. I'd edit too. Added and removed some things to be more specific about special moments, personal accomplishments, because they don't do it for birthdays only. The Dutch commuter bicycle is apparently a somewhat unique feature to the Netherlands, to the point old Dutch bicycles are exported to other countries like Canada, where they are apparently a hot commodity. Here is a small article talking about its features. Of course, cycling is not unique to the Netherlands, and the fact so many people, despite the dangers and lack of proper bicycle systems, still choose to use the bike as their mode of transportation makes it clear these are desperately needed. Still, the almost casual integration of the bicycle into the Dutch social landscape is still worth many eyebrow raises from foreigners. Seeing business people and high-ranking politicians, including our Prime Minister, using the bicycle as their mode of transportation would be an odd sight outside of the Netherlands. Of course, that system didn't pop out of the ground like that. Every meter has been built with the blood of traffic victims, including many children. Great way to keep that bicycle path deep red though. I have no idea if this is common anywhere else, but in Norway, talking to anyone in the public, on buses, on streets, etc., is avoided as much as possible, and we avoid strangers as much as we can. If we're on the bus, whenever a new passenger comes in, we pray to God that they don't sit next to us, because we enjoy our privacy. We want to sit alone and enjoy music, movie, staring out the window, knowing that the presence of another person is non-existent. So to speak, Norwegians were always prepared for battling COVID-19. Context: I'm Spanish but studied my bachelor degree in the UK. This is more an anecdote on what is considered strange in my country but totally normal for me. After inviting a few uni friends to my hometown in Spain, a baffled former British friend said it was really strange that Spanish people drank during lunchtime and dinner just for the pleasure of it rather than to get drunk. She thought it was a waste of money to drink without actually getting drunk. She was dead serious. If you ever find yourself surrounded by 3 or more Spaniards and want to start a mini civil war, you only have to ask with or without onion. You don't need to specify what. They'll know instantly what you're talking about. In the highly unlikely event that they all were in agreement, there is a follow-up question guaranteed to succeed where the former one failed: raw egg, or fully cooked? Although the degenerates who like their egg raw refer to it as being juicy or Galician. You'll have a massive argument going on in no time. What can I say? We take potato omelet very seriously. Multi-generational homes. In the U.S., someone who lives with their parents is a loser, while in most South American countries, it's a way to ensure you have career. Your parents, grandparents take care of your kids and you get to go into your career. Women are able to achieve the American dream, being able to have a career and children if that's what they want. Men are able to stash cash instead of burning it on rent for an apartment so they can show off they're so independent to the random girl they're with. Your parents, grandparents get to enjoy more time with the newest members of their family and have a guaranteed place to stay when they get older. There is one tiny little downside. The real estate market isn't in a constant bubble, as people's kids don't need apartments, so the overall cost of real estate is more constrained. I wonder why the US real estate is broken. In the UK, It's normal for cats to be able to come and go from the house as they please, outside of dense city centers. Generally, we'd feel sorry for a cat that was always kept inside for being trapped and unable to roam like cats naturally do. There have been TV shows about domestic cats' habits, and they regularly have a mile-wide territory in the suburbs, and 5 miles or more in the countryside. This is changing a bit with time, and indoor cats are slowly becoming more common, particularly with apartment living in densely urban areas, but when I was a kid, an indoor cat was virtually unheard of. Houses that cost $45-60K in 1997 now cost $1M 1.5 meters. I found images of some old real estate brochures a couple of years back, and it honestly pisses me off. And no, they're not special in any way. Not beachfront property, not a mansion, not historically or culturally notable or anything. Just shitty little 2-bedroom houses built in the 60s. With or without a small backyard. The economy here is overly reliant on real estate, and now we have a generation of people who will never own their own homes. Thanks, Australia. My family and I came here from a war-torn country expecting a better life, only to progressively get shit on more and more over the past almost 2.5 decades, and this is just the icing on the cake. In America, many people treat their cats and dogs like small children, cooking them entire meat meals just for them daily, and walking small dogs around in little baby strollers is less common, but still common enough you can see it out in public regularly in rich areas. Cats and dogs often sleep in bed with the owners. Dogs are given benefit of the doubt by strangers, with people commonly asking to pet people's dogs. A dog in a public place will be pet by a fair amount of passerbys, usually with permission but not always. I love my animals, but I sure as shit don't put them in strollers. My German Shepherd is too big to sleep in our bed, but we don't care if he sleeps on our furniture. Plus he is friendly and will gladly accept a pet from a stranger. In Mexico, it depends on the area you are in. It will be the things you find. Usually the strangest thing with the rest of the world is the type of chivalry or how helpful people are. For example, if you buy something, there is always someone to pack your things, or if you have a car and you are going to go out in reverse, that person guides you and warns you of anything. In the U.S. at my school, we had an entire day where police officers, firefighters, veterans, and volunteers would come to our school, and we would do things like have a relay race. Wait, it gets dark. In said relay race, we would run from one room in the basement, which was the first floor, the second was the ground floor, down the hall to another. Once we reached the second room, we pulled a card that said arm or leg, and we'd have to do a tourniquet on a classmate's arm or leg to practice if there was ever a shooter. That day also included calming down a teacher that got shot, learning how to make our own tourniquet, and a few fairly normal shooter drill, minus the fact that 2 adults had guns filled with blanks. It was traumatizing. Sweet fancy Moses, you're okay with making your kids do tourniquet races, but universal background checks are still a problem. Of course it was traumatizing. You were practicing trauma. They were literally doing a run-through of being traumatized. May the 1st, the young lads will carry a birch tree, that's adorned with colorful paper and the name of the girl they want to own, through the city with their friends and put it up at said girl's window, and have to defend the tree the night over, for other suitors or opportunists might take it down. Otherwise, the tree stays up for 1 month. When the guys show up again, to take the tree with them, sadly, nowadays many guys seem to forget this part of the tradition. If the girls likes them, they are repaid with an invitation to dinner and a crate of beer. The beer is usually seen as a payment for friends of the suitor, who help carrying and defending the tree. May the 1st, the young lads will carry a birch tree, that's adorned with colorful paper and the name of the girl they want to own, through the city with their friends and put it up at said girl's window, and have to defend the tree the night over, for other suitors or opportunists might take it down. Otherwise, the tree stays up for 1 month when the guys show up again, to take the tree with them. Sadly, nowadays many guys seem to forget this part of the tradition. If the girls likes them, they are repaid with an invitation to dinner and a crate of beer. The beer is usually seen as a payment for friends of the suitor, who help carrying and defending the tree. If you want it not to rain, stab the dirt and leave the knife there. Not in all our country, but there is a state where once a year we take out our dead relatives from the grave to clean the bones. If you make a petition to a saint, you can put it upside down for it to be done. We do not celebrate Easter with eggs and bunnies. Our grandmas and moms would scold us because Christ is suffering. You should be praying. Great-grandma used to turn off everything, and if it gets cloudy they'd say something like, "By this time Christ died," and keep on praying. We have people at gas stations that fill our tanks for us. There is always people on the red lights either making a show or cleaning your windshield. Our candy are actually spicy. I'm trying to remember more. The ban of chewing gum. We are actually happy with it. At least our cleaners don't have to scrap gum off walls and trains and floors. It makes keeping the country clean easier. And yeah, it was banned because people couldn't dispose of their gum properly and stick it everywhere, including to jam train doors. Another thing would probably be our Hungry Ghost Festival. A large part of the population believes hell is just another planet in another dimension after death, and their dead ancestors, parents, grandparents will need money, credit card, houses, cars to survive in there so they won't suffer and live poorly. So every Hungry Ghost Festival, the hell gates open to the human world, for them to receive things from their living descendants. So people will cook up big massive feasts with alcohol to feed our ancestors' ghosts visiting us. Roast pig, roast duck, roast chicken are popular offerings, and we will burn hell money, as well as hell cars, hell houses, hell credit cards, hell clothes, anything really. They are all made of paper. By burning them and writing our ancestors' name on it, they will receive their gifts and hopefully live in luxury. This is Singapore. I guess this is probably strange. Poutine. I know it's becoming more widespread, but when I was about 6 I tried to order one at a Dairy Queen in the States. I got a very confused look from the woman at the counter. She looked to my dad for help in the situation. He didn't help lol. I tried to explain to her what it was. It's like fries and gravy with squeaky cheese. I didn't know the word for cheese curds. What's squeaky cheese? It's like white and chewy and makes a squeaky sound when you bite it. That sounds disgusting. I was very offended at that point, and my dad got impatient and made me order something quickly. I got chicken strips and didn't enjoy them. People stopping on the road to see heavy construction vehicles at work, especially if it's a JCB digger. There would be at least 20-40 people watching some road being repaired or a girder being placed into its position. Is this just a thing everywhere? In Bristol, UK, they were demolishing a large building in the city centre. There was always a crowd of passers-by, usually male and 30+, standing and gawking. I was often one of them. In Czech, we beat women with homemade braided sticks during Easter while reciting poems. In exchange the men get a small treat, used to be eggs along with the small treat, where I'm from now it's usually just a shot of alcohol nowadays. Different regions have different rules. In some regions the women can defend themselves with buckets of ice water, in some only after 11 a.m. etc. I never understood what's up with Easter egg hunting until I moved abroad, and aha moment later. I live in Italy. After completing a driver's license exam and receiving a license, You are classed as a novice driver and limited to driving only small cars for the first year, even if you have had other national driver's licenses and have been driving large cars for years. My wife recently took the Italian exams as her prior license, US was not transferable, and now we have to sell our car as she is no longer qualified to drive it. Go figure. I recently made a video saying how I was not getting paid maternity leave from work and that I'd have to use my sick and vacation pay just so I could pay bills after giving birth. I'm from the US and literally almost anyone that lived outside of the US thought it was so bizarre that most Americans don't get paid maternity leave, whereas they were all getting anywhere from 2 months to 2 years leave. I own a pile of guns. I'm not even slightly right-wing or 2A obsessed, they're just a hobby. I grew up with guns, and poking holes in cardboard from way over there just stuck with me into adult life. Being an ardent leftist type in the US makes for some weird conversations because to me they feel unremarkable, but I know so many people who seem to view them like forbidden dark magic. Every so often it pops into my head that just for funsies I've got more firepower than, a rural police department in France maybe. It's surreal and really drives home how detached from reality gun culture is here. I feel like it should probably be a little less convenient anyway, like if I wanted another random gun I could just go to the store tomorrow and buy one, like a TV or a dog or expensive shoes.